Everyone, it's Eric from Olive Hill Studios, and we are back with an updated video. For this one, we have taken about a month break since Halloween, but we are back and working hard on Dracs After Dusk for you guys. I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through the history of the studio, specifically the 3 games that we have started before Dracs and are not finished. So we'll talk about some of the reasons why those weren't completed and some of the lessons learned along the way. Looking forward to it. Alright, so we go back to 2022. We are in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and we're looking to pick up some hobbies. Andrew has already done quite a bit of artwork with Blender and also traditional hand animation and some programming, but not game development specifically. And I decided to take the Game Dev DV course, Complete Unity Developer. Alright, so fresh off completing the Game Dev TV Unity 3D tutorial course, I was ready to go and start working in Unity. The problem was using C# to kind of create these different game systems proved to be much harder than I had anticipated. The idea for this game was it was a 3D sort of detective horror type game. We're very narrative based, where this tragedy occurred in this small Midwestern town. Found a way to go back in time, and you had to try to piece together the clues about what happened and try to save your younger brother. So you can kind of tell it's very much kind of this sibling bond type inspiration, which we liked what we could do in terms of like the visuals. You can see we created a lot of 3D models in Blender. We did a lot of lighting effects. We used the Cinemachine plugin for Unity to create kind of this cinematic trailer. But where we were really struggling with was, again, the scripting, coming up with the systems. I remember spending 3 weeks where Andrew and I were both like tearing our hair out trying to figure out how to build this inventory system. And it was just a very kind of, the learning curve was really high up. For whatever reason, just working with the Unity engine just didn't quite click with us. By the way, if anyone can name the reference of the classic horror franchise that this house is referring to, go ahead and put in the comments below. So yeah, we really enjoyed working on the game from a visual standpoint, but we thought that we needed to simplify in terms of the scripting and the programming side of things. So in the interest of simplifying the game project, we switched to the Godot engine, which had GDScript, which is like the easiest scripting language to learn, I'm convinced. And we moved to 2D for the visuals. And we also simplified by changing the genre to RPG. Yeah, there's a reason why a lot of game dev coaches say, do not start with the RPG. We found that out the hard way as we worked on this, which was codenamed Brute Squad: The Last Roundup. The thing about the RPG is it's really 5 or 6 genres combined into one. So, for example, you have the growth aspect where the enemies are supposed to get harder. You, as your party members, are leveling up, unlocking, new skills, new abilities. You're getting equipment, increasing your stats, and that in itself is actually takes some experience and some to figure out how to develop that and design that. So one thing I heard one game dev coach talk about was that you can actually do that through even just a simple idle game where you unlock new abilities in the idle game as you continue to play. That can be a really good basic way to learn how to develop sort of a growth system. Of course, you have the inventory with the drag and drop. So that's you can make a whole game out of a drag and drop. You have the battle system. So we're actually really happy with the battle system we came up with. It was a 3-on-3 Marvel vs. Capcom point with 2 assists type, where the battler had a type sort of like a Pokemon style, where match up different strengths and weaknesses. Here you have the pelt inspired character. Here is like a fire and steel guy doing his flame strike move. So yeah, we were really proud of the battle system, but it still is like, it was very complicated in terms of developing this, especially as just sort of a second game that we were just sort of beginning to learn how to create this stuff. We soon just realized that the RPG genre was just something that was going to be too much for us to do to complete, at least at this point in the studio's lifetime. Of course, we had the epic loot drops inspired by WoW, epic, common, and rare, different versions of the skills that you could get, and also the items. We went through and learned how to create like a procedural environment. Andrew did like a tile map. Andrew did the tile map, but we created these different scenes, and then we used an algorithm to create like a new world each time that you could explore around in the overworld. So we ended up learning a lot by making this game, but we realized that, yeah, again, the RPG was just too much for us at this time. All right, so we put down RPG for a while, and then we worked on back to 3D, and we decided to go for a multiplayer ghost hunting game. So again, you can kind of see the theme that we struggle to take on projects within a scope that I think normal studios would sort of develop their skills in making. That being said, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is a lot of game dev coaches will say, you know, start with Pong, then move to Brick Breaker, then go to Flappy Bird. But at least for us, we really felt inspired to make these games that we were inspired by. These, horror, narrative, 3D, lots of systems type games. And while unfortunately we've now discontinued 3 of them, we do plan to go back and finish some of these at some point. And we learned a lot. Each game that we made has improved us as programmers, artists, with Brian on the music and sound effects side. So we're not discouraged at all. In fact, we've taken all these lessons, and we feel like the system architecture we built for Dracs After Dusk, which is the one we're working on now, is really solid, and we're able to extend different systems in a way that has been a lot faster than any of the other games we've tried. And combined with the 2D pixel art style, we really feel like we're going to be able to finish that as our first game and have that delivered for you guys. But anyway, this is some more footage from codenamed Peltmophobia. It was really inspired by Phasmophobia, sort of a ghost hunting type game. And you can see we create a lot of systems, we create a lot of visuals, but again, just sort of realized with, especially trying to do the multiplayer, that it was just a little too much for us to try and get done. But despite the fact that we have quit 3 games now, we are very dedicated to getting Dracs After Dusk to you guys. We're working on an epic armory boss here with a bunch of phases that we're doing some playtesting on. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with this. If you enjoyed the Game Jam version, there's a lot more coming for you guys. Some really cool Souls-like boss-type encounters, and we at Olive Hill are committed to finishing our first game. All right, thanks for sticking along with the journey with us. Happy gaming, happy deving. Take care.